Welcome to Peaker's Advantage, Episode 8. We are missing two hosts today. As you'll know, Daps is busy being on a successful team, as Richard pointed out in the pre-show, in comparison to the rest of us. So, being on a successful team in comparison to the rest of us. And FNS is busy planning the next stage in his master plan. So, he cannot be here either. So, you just get the three of us, which is going to be fun.
I'm disappointed in a way because I'm kind of paranoid. Like, maybe they didn't come on because I said something.
Honestly, I never thought about that, but maybe. I don't think so. If Daps said he was going to be busy up to IEM Shanghai, and we could do the show after IEM Shanghai, but we haven't recorded in so long, and haven't done anything in a while, so I really wanted to do this.
I don't think I've said anything bad about those guys. I think we're cool.
Yeah, probably. They're not. They're pretty. They have pretty good senses of humor. I don't think they'd be upset if anyone said anything about them. At least I don't think so. I might be wrong. So here we are, Episode 8. I've been getting consistently spammed every day. I'm sure the other guys get the same. And anytime I join a deathmatch server, it's 10 people asking me when I'm recording Peaker's Advantage next. So here we are, all of you deathmatchers over there in the Frag Shack. It's
a great podcast. I've been saying this for ages. It's a shame. There's not really a lot of great content from players.
Yeah.
In Counter-Strike. I think in other areas you kind of get it a bit better. Certainly commentators seem to put a lot more content out. We've just started doing it. We've obviously got Peaker's Advantage. We've got By the Numbers. DDK started doing an audio podcast, which is pretty cool. Yeah.
Is it Counter-Strike based or is it just industry based?
Yeah, with Dan, you know how it is, right? Like Dan's the kind of motherfucker who'll be reading a book, and that's like all he wants to talk about, like so it doesn't matter what the topic is. Like for example, me and him will be talking about Counter-Strike, and then he'll just go, yeah, it's kind of like neuro-linguistic programming in a way, Rich. And you'd be like, no, it fucking isn't at all, Dan. I'm guessing you're reading a book about neuro-linguistic fucking programming, so we're going to talk about it for 2 hours. So that's one of the cool things about Dan, he's like,
cool dude.
Yeah. So his podcast is kind of all over the fucking place, but people should definitely check it out. The Double Tap guys have been doing some stuff, but I'm in a bit of a mood with them at the moment. So yeah, but I'll still promote it because the shit is righteous. I'm just not going to be on it anymore.
Well, yeah, I couldn't agree more. When I came up with the idea, well, obviously I didn't come up with the idea of podcasts. That'd be a little egotistical. But
pretty fucking bold, brother.
Yeah, exactly. But when I thought about like creating content, and like I don't really like streaming that much. Like, it's just not something that I enjoy doing. But I like, maybe I just like hearing myself talk. Who knows? But I was like, there's no content in the only content in the Counter-Strike scene is streamers, and then those streamers make YouTube highlights of their streams, and that's like that is the Counter-Strike. And then Sean Garris does his like breakdowns and round stuff, which is really good content. And I was like, but we don't have any sort of like long form podcast stuff that players do, and I figured the community would, even if not exactly top of the line players currently, they'd still want to hear our perspective on stuff.
I don't think I think it's better when it comes from, again, no disrespect to you all. I followed your careers. I respect your hustle. But I think it's better coming from the guys that have been around and seen some shit. I don't think star players have a very realistic perspective on what the industry is like, and I don't think they need to think about some of the problems I'm sure you guys have encountered. Like, Corey, what I love about Corey as kind of a voice in the space is it was very clear when Corey hit a wall and just stopped giving a fuck. Like, it was so obvious. It was just like, listen, like, I'm just going to talk real about what's going on behind the scenes. I mean, I guess a lot of people will think the watershed moment was the Cloud9 stuff, but I don't know. I think there was a lot of stuff going on, and like Corey was a guy who was like, putting vlogs out about it and talking real about it. And then like most recently with the Splice stuff, like I'd much rather hear about that than I would about, hey, I'm fucking simple. Everywhere I go, motherfuckers roll a red carpet out for me, and my buyout's $1.2 million. You're living in a fucking crazy world, right? Like, none of it's real. Yeah. It's like we got something in the UK. What's it called? Is it just some in the anonymous? I can't remember the fucking name, so this example got terrible real quick. But he's like he's a columnist, and he was a footballer. It's like the anonymous footballer, I think is called.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah.
He
writes columns. Yeah, he writes columns about like what the life in the Premier League was like, and shit that agents do and all of this. People have been trying to find out who that motherfucker is for ages, and all of the names on the list, it ain't no superstars. It's just regular guys that went through some shit in the league. So, yeah, I think, you know, Pika's advantage is kind of like that. I like it when you guys get real. I don't like it when it's like you wheel out a fucking super high level player who's got to think, oh, I'm sponsored by Tinder now, so I can't make dick jokes or whatever. You know, like I don't want to hear from that motherfucker. He's got nothing to say to me. He ain't keeping it real. You know what I mean?
Well,
That
a
wasn't
lot
a
of
dick
people
I
are,
think you're just jealous that they're sponsored by Tinder, is what I think. That is a little bit of envy.
No one's gonna offer me that.
I just think it's like a lot of people are fake, like org owners, players, like a lot of people. Like there's some great ones, obviously. There's some awful ones, and there's some in the middle. But like sometimes it annoys me when I see people like, for example, Complexity. You have Jason Lake, where people put him on this huge pedestal, and it's like, is he doing good stuff for CS right now? Yeah, absolutely. Is he putting a lot of time and money into the game? Sure. Is he doing a bunch of great stuff right now? Probably. Did he steal all our sticker money back in the day and not give us any of it because it wasn't in our contracts because it didn't exist? Yes, he did. So it's like, I don't know. Like it pisses me off.
I'm totally at that, right? Because me and Jason go way back. So I'll be straight with you. You know, like I think I'm probably guilty of putting him on that pedestal a little bit myself. I mean, actually, I go so far back with him because he was like the original guy. He was like the guy that got me into team management. You know, I saw this big dude, white shirt, red tie, standing behind the team.
No, I'm like I said, he's done a lot of good. He's done more good than bad. But from my perspective, it's like you still stole from me, and it like the problem was at the time there was nothing in the contract because stickers and majors and nothing had ever existed before. So you can't blame a player and be like, oh, you didn't have it in your contract when like nothing had existed like that before, right? Like we didn't even get salary at the time. So it's like. And to be fair, we didn't even ask for the money. We just asked for a boot camp and to send us to another event. So it's like, and they declined that too. So it's like clear to me that like some people are only in it when the money is good, in my opinion. And when it's not good, they'll do everything they can to maybe have a team and like maybe help you out as much as like financially is like suitable for them at the time. But if they're not going to be able to make money, they're not going to do it. But he did invest in CGS and all that, so obviously he did care. But yeah.
Did you ever like go public with that at the time? Because I feel like that's like a different Semphis back then, you know. I feel like you were a different dude.
I think it was like kind of known, but like
I had heard murmurings like behind the scenes, but it wasn't like a big like.
Reddit was a lot smaller, a lot lower player base, a lot less fans, a lot less everything. So like nothing. Even if something did blow up at the time, it wouldn't have ever even mattered. If you know what I mean. Like now, when things blow up, you know, it gets on Reddit, HLTV, whatever, and it gets like super huge, and yeah. So it's just like. I don't know. It's just different nowadays. There's just more people. So like sponsors and stuff care way more about publicity than before, I think.
Yeah, that's weird, man. I mean, like, you know, I always like the idea of people sort of making restitutions. I talked about this a lot. Like, I think if you know you've got this blot in your copybook, even though you're not sort of obligated to, like now that we can all eat and we all get to make money off this shit. Like, you know, if I'd ever done anything like that, I mean, I'd like to think I wouldn't do it in the first place, but sometimes it's never as simple as, you know, we took the money. Sometimes it's literally the money came in and it fell into a fucking debt hole. Like we were already running on fumes, you know, there was physically like the money just went into the fucking red. And even then it didn't push us back up into the black. So we couldn't give it to the players. You know, I hear that a lot from organizations that it's like, they don't want to keep the money. But it's that like they don't have the overdraft, right? They're already fucked at the bank. The money goes in, and the bank says, "Well, thank you very much. We're keeping hold of that." That's definitely happened with a lot of organizations. I think that probably is what happened with the sticker money for the ESC guys that they still never got. Because I know Valve definitely paid that shit out.
Yeah.
Valve always pays.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just think like. If you sign over all your sticker money to your org, then you have nothing to say, right? Obviously, like maybe you negotiated a better salary, and like the goal is if you make a major, we get all the sticker money. I don't think any player would agree with that, but like at least then you couldn't complain. But I don't know. Even if you're in debt though, like you still gotta like if
Agreed.
someone is
Agreed.
owed money, they're owed money. Like
agreed, absolutely.
Yeah, I remember when we first signed with Splice, like way back when, like the year when they first came in originally, and we negotiated a great deal on sticker money because we were just not expected to ever make a major anyways. So we had like we ended up we got like 80%, like 75-80% of like the total amount that got distributed, which was like which was really high, especially at the time. I'm sure teams have way better deals now, but at the time that was like we had the best deal out of any of the teams I knew about. And our coach Garrett at the time, when we were all negotiating contracts, the owner of the team asked them, like Marty asked him, he was like, so like what, like do you want a percentage of the sticker money? What's this? And he just kind of laughed it off and said, oh, we're nowhere close to that yet. Like we don't even need to worry about it. So he ended up not.
Fucked himself.
He fucked himself so hard.
Right,
so he ended up not getting any of it. And then afterwards, he tried to like after we qualified, he tried to like go back to the owner and get some, and they were just like, nah, you had your chance.
Yeah, that's fucked up, man. I mean, like I say, you're right. I mean, I think back in the early days, like nobody knew like what the stickers were going to be worth, how it was all going to work out. What's kind of funny is it was the first wave of stickers really that seemed to net people the most because it was a novelty. Yeah. You know, like every owner I talked to said it was always diminishing returns. I think I got sent the numbers of like the money they were making, and like each major year upon year, you know, and I've said this before. I rarely criticize Valve because I think out of all the developers I've ever kind of worked with or observed doing their work in the esports space, I think Valve is the best. But they really got to reinvent the idea of stickers, right? There's very little difference between the original waiver ones and the new ones. Like, why would I buy them?
Yeah.
You know, if I've already got them, right? So they need to do something new. They need to put something new out there like that, not just the autographs, right? I mean, even then, like, I imagine your fucking autograph is the same, you know, as it was back then. It's a fucking autograph. It doesn't change. That's the point. If you change your autograph all the time, it would actually lose value because no one would be able to determine what was real and what wasn't. So I've said it. They need something else. Like, I would love some sort of compendium style thing for Counter-Strike, like with baseball card themes for the players, and everyone gets a share of that. And if you buy like golds, you know, players get a little bit more, you know, some sort of something like that. So there was just a bit more in-game merchandising that went to the players. I think that'd be fucking, and the orgs, obviously.
I was thinking different, like, I'm sure this isn't an exclusive idea to myself. I haven't seen anybody else suggest it, but I'm sure other people have had the idea. People are like, oh, yeah, I had this idea. Like, yeah, okay, whatever. I don't give a fuck. Like, not necessarily, like, skins in-game, like models, but, like, okay, for example, there's, like, a Cloud9 sort of, like, let's use Cloud9 as an example because it's the first one that came to my head, where you can get, like, a Cloud9 loadout where you have a Cloud9 helmet, Cloud9 gloves, Cloud9 boots or something. Right? Yeah. Like something like sick. That. Or, and you could do it for each individual player. Maybe on the side of the helmet it says the name of the player or something. You know, I don't know. Just like you think, because like you said, like the stickers are just kind of old at this point. Like how many, like the only reason they were smart doing the pick'em stuff, because that's the main reason why people still buy the stickers is to get the pick'em trophies. Because I don't think people, I mean, I'm sure some people do, but for the most part, the people don't, like how many simple stickers do you want, right? Like, how many can you want? Like you got to add something else, like maybe like simple gloves, right? Like imagine if there was gloves and every time you inspected your weapon, you could just see like simple signed on like the side of your glove in the game. Like you got to just add new things, which I'm sure they're working on. They always are behind the scenes, and then they just don't say anything because they're not very vocal about it.
We used to have in Source, when you could do the custom skins before SV consistency came in. We used to have the wrist tattoos.
Yeah, I remember that.
I
didn't play Source, but I remember watching Source stuff, and I could see that.
That was fucking sick.
They now added like even stickers to like the minor qualifier people, and like don't get me wrong, if I had qualified, it'd be awesome to get money from stickers. Like as a player, it's awesome, but like it then devalues stickers another level, right? Because like
in the major itself, there's less prestige.
It's just like there's less prestige, and while I do think it is good for the players to get so a lot of those teams won't qualify for the major, obviously. So it's good that, you know, some of the lower tier teams get a little bit more money. That's awesome, but it should be a different way, I think. And they need to make a way for either get rid of stickers, change something like you said, or make them more prestigious again, right? Because the thing is, like, you can't just keep adding stickers like to more and more teams, like it just devalues them more and more and more, and then people just don't care.
Or alternatively, you keep how it is. You give all the teams that have qualified for the Challenger stage stickers, but then once you get past the Challenger stage, you have to get something else then. Like add something new to those people. You know what I mean? So you can keep these guys still get their little extra money. They still get their stickers in the game. They still get all that stuff. But then once you make it past the Challenger stage, there has to be a next thing. Like there has to be something else that makes that more valuable besides the prize money and the just the will to win of a player itself. But
yeah, that's what I was gonna say, because I think one of the things that I like about Valve opening the stickers up is that, you know, you've all played on those orgs where it's like, I mean, you know it. You don't know if the paycheck's going to turn up, right? You know, and the reason for that is that these orgs, especially when they come to a game like Counter-Strike, where it's the baseline salary is higher than the potential to monetize just by virtue of having a team, it sort of negates that. Like if you can get to one of those bigger tournaments, the org's going to take their cut, and it's actually going to make having a team worthwhile and paying a salary worthwhile. So it's actually a better thing, you know, in terms of the ecosystem. But I definitely agree. Like once you get to the next stage, well, what the fuck do I get now? Maybe it could be something like it's stickers for everyone, you know, all the minor dudes as well. But then like, you know, special limited glove skins or something for you know,
exactly
for the next tier up, and then all of a sudden now the gloves are more prestigious and people want to buy them and stuff like that.
Because
so
they do that for the playoffs, where they give you like that thing in game that says like quarterfinalist at this event, which they actually made them all look the same now though. Before, like it used to be like a trophy if you won, and then like like there was like different depending on which thing you got, and now they all just say they all look the exact same, but just say semifinalist, quarterfinalist, finalist, winner, whatever.
I think the problem is that the gloves are expensive in their own right. So having like a simple glove or a Navi glove or something would almost cost someone like $500 right off the bat if they wanted one. You know what I mean? Because like if you made them $5, then it would drive all the glove prices down, because anyone could then get a glove. I thought a cool idea might be just like instead of having sticker capsules, they could just make like a major case. And you could have a simple glove in there, maybe, you know, but it's rare to get. So that money still goes towards the teams, so people can still try to get it, but it will be less likely and worth more if they do. And you could make it like maybe they get a sticker guaranteed. If they don't get an item, they get a sticker. You know, like you could still change it up a bit. But
yeah, that'd be sick actually if the way that you got stuff was a bit like opening a Dota 2 treasure.
Yeah,
it's like it's all the players that are in it, and they're all spinning around, you know, and then it's like, fuck, I actually got simple, or, you know, oh dear, I got sponge, you know, something like that, right? Like
Dota's got it unlocked. They got that compendium.
Oh yeah, dude, the Dota 2 stuff is sick. Like sometimes when you look at kind of how the CS cosmetics have been handled and the CS economy's been handled, and you look over at Dota, it is hard to believe it's the same company.
I was about to say, it's weird, like, Dota has all this sweet stuff that we're like, oh, I wish CSGO would implement. Oh, it's the same company that makes both games? Yeah. Wow, so you mean
and the Dota community are complaining all the fucking time.
It is different teams of people, but yeah, it's the same company. But they have a much bigger team for Dota.
But it's like, so all the code is like kind of already there. Like it's just, you know, you could just bring it over. Like,
good though. How do you think the TF2 guys feel? They're looking over at us, going, "You lucky assholes."
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. Oh, not complaining about where we are right now as a game. That's for sure. Just
Overwatch is the future. Okay. Yeah.
Please no, don't do it to me, brother. Don't make me talk about Overwatch on this podcast, please. But look, back to the idea of restitutions. I heard recently, what was that fucked up tournament? Was it TWC or something? The one in Serbia.
Yeah.
So I think they're coming back with a new sponsor, maybe potentially.
Yeah.
And I know they've owed this money for a long time, but I think one of the rumors I've heard on the rumor mill is that if they do get the new sponsor and they do come back in business, they're going to kind of settle the old debts as part of that, you know.
Package. Yeah, they actually owe Corey a bunch of money that they're going to pay him back finally.
Yeah. And they said you were there with Canada, right?
Yeah.
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 But I had a mishap. Just so I'll explain it a little bit, just so people know, because I have complained about it before. But basically, what happened was I had my flight from. This is when I was on TSM, so it was a while ago, right? My flight from San Jose to New York to Serbia, right? Now, the week before, Logitech had one of those mandatory like signing things I had to do. That was in New York. So I actually left from New York to Serbia the next day. So I was already in New York. Impossible for me to fly back and then there. I just literally didn't have enough time. So I asked a couple people, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you can just like change your flight over, or tell them whatever that you're going to connect from here." So I had never done this. I've never missed a flight in my life. I've never done anything where I've like changed a flight ever. So I just figured, oh yeah, sure, no problem. So I call them, you know, the day of, or the day before, I can't remember. Probably the day of, because I'm lazy. But and I was like, hey, I'm not going to make the first flight. I'm going to actually get on the connection. They're like, nope, your whole flight's canceled if you don't get on the first flight. And I'm like, all right, cool. So I called the Serbia people and I was like, look, I'm already in New York. It's literally not possible for me to get back. I was like, I know this is like partially my fault. I just didn't realize that it was like this. Like I would have tried to fix it earlier if I knew it was going to be such an issue. They're like, oh yeah, no problem. Just buy a new ticket and we'll reimburse you. So I bought a $1,700 ticket to Serbia, because it's the next day, right, to Serbia. So they just fuck you. And then so I go there, and then obviously they didn't reimburse me. And then on the way back, the flight got declined because of funding again. So I had to stay an extra 2 days until because I was like, I'm not gonna buy another ticket. Like
on the bright side, 2 days in Serbia only cost you about $30. So it's not...
no, I was eating at this place called Ponchos, all right? This place was popping. It was just like a burger joint. I ate there every day, 4 times a day, just double patty burgers. Just cost me like $2, I think. Like...
No, it's that I will say this. The event was a fucking shit show. There was a lot that went on at the time. I remember we had Scoots.
DDoS, right?
Yeah, I mean, and then they I think they tried to deny it was DDoS. I definitely heard.
Well, that was
the
the first one. That was
DDoS.
the first one where they had the DDoS problems, because there was two. The 2015 one was where we had the DDoS problems, and it was inside that big like
stadium, hockey stadium. Or
no,
right?
It wasn't in the hockey stadium. It was in like it was like a theater.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
That one was delayed like 10 hours on the first day. The second one actually didn't have that many delays.
Yeah. So right. I mean, like, and it was fucking really surreal, the whole event. Like, you had that cat Avela running it, and he was like a wannabe commentator.
Oh, I remember that.
So he was breaking up the commentary pairings so he could like commentate with better known commentators, but he was also acting as like our liaison. So it was like just this super surreal. One moment he's like coming, oh, I got you a cup of tea, and you're like, cheers, mate. And then the next minute, right, you're not casting because I'm gonna cast with James Bardolph now. And I was just like, what is going? Like, it was super fucking surreal. We got told on the last day as well. Me and Duncan were fucking sat up in the bleachers watching the events. We're getting fucking pinged by the high spotlight beam lights constantly, just like a fucking Minority Report retina scan, just burning out my eyes every 2 fucking minutes. Like, Thorin, because of how Thorin is, he's an interesting cat. He's got some quirks. Things he hates, loud noises, absolutely hates that. He needs peace and quiet. And he hates bright lights being shined in his face. I mean, most people don't like that. But
I hate them even when you're playing, dude. Sometimes they shine down and you're like, get these out of here. Like, I can't see.
They're pretty fucking dumb. Like, I don't think anybody likes it, but Duncan hates it. So he was getting fucking mad triggered the entire time. And, like, there was just all sorts of stuff. Like, I mean, so we were just sat up there, and he was just losing his fucking mind. He just kept saying to me, like, why are they shining lights in my eyes, Richard? Why are they doing it? I'm going, look, man, it'll be fine. We're going to be back on the stage away from the lights in 5 minutes. Just chill. And then, like, we got told literally on the last day before we went out to the after party, oh, by the way, there's a green room over there. And we could have just used the green room the entire time that no one told us about. So we were sat getting fucking wrecked by these lights, like, the entire fucking event. So yeah, that was a fucking shit show. And then like when we went out, I mean, fucking Serbia was fucking great, man.
No, Serbia's awesome, actually.
Yeah, the partying was sick. Like,
awesome. It was fucking sweet. I said that too. After the first time I left, that at the time it was probably my favorite place I had been to, which I didn't expect at all. Because like you'd never think like. I don't know, maybe people in Europe are different, but especially if you're from North America, you wouldn't think that you're going to like. No one would pick to go to Serbia for like a vacation here, unless your like family is from there. No
They
one
kept
would go
telling
there.
me like, "Oh, it's so dangerous. Don't go by yourself." Then the days that I was there, 2 days by myself, obviously I'm just by myself in a hotel, so I'm gonna go get food and go to the gym because I'm bored as hell. So like, I'm just walking around. It's totally fine. No, like zero problems. And also, just so you guys know, if you ever go to Serbia, they have every movie possible on Netflix. Okay, all the newest releases, all the oldest movies, every movie that exists is on the Serbian Netflix. It's insane. So like,
Oh,
if you
and
just want to watch a bunch of movies for free,
I remember that last time we were there, like the second time, we're walking up. That was the one that was in like the hockey arena, and we're walking up, and all the tiles are missing. It's like this giant, huge, beautiful thing, and all the tiles are missing from the front from the front of it.
Yeah.
And we asked our guard, it was like, what happened? Like, why do they pay all this money to build this thing, and then they don't put tiles in? And he was like, oh, they went away because of the acid rain. And I was like, like. I don't know, man. This really looks like people came and stole the tiles. Like, some of them are ripped up. Some of them are like still here. Like, I don't know, man. This really looks like people came and took all your tiles.
Disintegrate.
Yeah. Just one tile right in the middle is just gone, and all the ones around it are still like half there.
I'll tell you another fucking story, right? So, obviously we were working with Yanko, right? You know, and he knows the fucking lay of the land. He's from there, and he told us about like some late night nightclub, and it was like more of a local thing. You had to know about it, right? And so we were like, yeah, we'll fucking go there. And he's like, don't worry, you know, I can get you in. And like, we saw it coming in, right? And there was this like unbelievable doorman. Like, he looked like the fucking that cave troll out of Lord of the Rings. He was fucking jacked. Like, I've never seen it. And strapped to boot. Like, definitely was carrying a gun. I know what that bulge looks like, my friend. So I'm like, all right, fuck it. We'll go in here. It'll be fine. And they had like a cash point, like an ATM attached to the building, right? So I'm like, fuck it, let's get some money, you know? So somebody went ahead of me. I can't even remember who the fuck it was, but someone got fucking wrecked. Someone from out of town. I want to say it's DDK because it's always DDK that gets fucked over at these things, but maybe it wasn't. But anyway, they put their card in. ATM screen comes up and they're doing the beep, 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 put their PIN in. And then it just went to a Windows screen, and somebody's mouse was just moving like it was just a PC desktop. And then it just went to black.
No.
It just went to black, and the card came out, and I was like, "Yep, you've just got absolutely fucking robbed, mate. Like, it's over. Your bank account is fucking done." So we went to another cash point and got some fucking money, and we came back, and lo and behold, we got a ton of emails when I got home, like saying that the hotel there'd been some cybercrime in it. The hotel we stayed in, there was like loads of people's credit cards got fucked from that event and stuff. I was like, fuck me. I've never seen anything so funny though. Like, you shouldn't laugh because like you have just watched a friend get absolutely robbed.
The only thing you can do is laugh at stuff like that.
Oh yeah, just literally Windows, like not even Windows like 10 or 7, like Windows 98, like just came up like da 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 da, like. That ain't no cash point, my friend.
No.
Yeah, that was fucking funny, dude. But yeah, Serbia was a fucking blast, man. I had such a good time out there.
Yeah, no, I always get in trouble from like even my girlfriend just always gets mad at me because when terrible things happen, she's like, "Why aren't you like supporting me here?" And I'm just laughing the whole time. It's like, "What do you want me to do? Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, oh no, this is so sad. Like, who's what's that gonna help? Like, fucking might as well just laugh about it. It's way better."
Yeah, man. So look, I want to talk about NRG while I'm here because I wanted to pick your fucking brains about it. I'm gonna do a segment on BTN. We didn't get around.
It's too bad Daps isn't here then, but.
Yeah. Well, I mean, no, it's actually probably better if he isn't. I'm probably just gonna say some shit he wouldn't like very much. But so like they totally should have fucking won that minor, dude.
Yeah, I don't think. I think they know that.
Yeah. So what? Do you guys know what the fuck went wrong? Because like before I open my mouth.
I think they shouldn't have banned Mirage, and they should have banned us too. Like, we even practiced versus them, and I know practice is practice. It doesn't always. You don't know what they've been doing versus the other teams, but like they beat us on most maps fairly easily, and then Dust 2 is the only one we ever beat them on. So it's like, Inferno Inferno is Inferno, but like, but out of all the other maps besides Inferno, we'd usually get wrecked, and then. you know, every once in a while you scrim a team enough times, you're going to win a map. But like overall, we were getting owned, I think. And then Dust 2 always felt like closer, relatively fine. Like it felt like way more fair, if you know what I mean. So I was surprised when they left that map in and lost to E United on it, because I was like, I know E United are like not the best team in the world, but they're not bad, obviously.
I had them as dark horses. Like I could have seen them. I could have seen them getting through. Actually, I think they got some sick players that people don't talk about enough. Like,
well, so let me. I can explain that to you. So the problem with E United is, and even though they have good players, and I like most of the guys on their team. I don't really know anybody that I don't like on their team. I'm friends with a few of them. Their coach, I'm really good friends with. Oso, he's a really cool dude, and me and him have talked about this, and it's pretty obvious. The problem is with them is their stars online are their worst players on LAN. Yeah. And they're not terrible on LAN. That's the other thing. Like they're not. It's not like they go to LAN and they're terrible. But they're players that are really good online. Like stats wise are their best players online. Are stats wise their worst players on LAN.
You talking about Ace?
No, Ace is actually statistically their worst player online and their best player on LAN. He's like their most consistent player.
Because whenever I watch Ace online, I think like, why do people rave about this?
Yeah. You know? No, he's actually their most consistent player, which is like weird to think about. Because like you said, he doesn't really pass the eye test online. Like he's
not at all.
Yeah, but no, he's actually one of their most consistent players. And then Relics is the same. He's always kind of going to be doing the same thing. But then, yeah, just I don't know. So it messes with your style of play, and that's why they kind of fall off a bit on LAN, I think. But as far as energy goes, I think the big thing. This is obviously just my opinion, naturally, which is what this is that they have a really young team, and even though their team is pretty experienced, like Ethan has a bit of experience, Breeze has experience, Cirque doesn't have a whole lot of experience, but he's still got a confidence about him.
Oh yeah, sure.
But it's hard, especially myself included, because I've been in this position before when people are talking you up, and then you go and now you're expecting more of yourself, other people are expecting more of you, and all of a sudden you have a lot more pressure than you've ever had before. And it's not necessarily more pressure from the community, but you trick yourself into thinking that you have more pressure than you had before. At least this was from my own experience. Obviously they probably did actually have more pressure. So when you put a bunch of like really young people, and they all of a sudden have way more pressure than they had before, and things start to go wrong, like maybe you lose a round you shouldn't have lost, then instead of being able to easily brush it off like a team with a lot more experience, I feel like that gets to you a lot more. And then even if you're not thinking about it, even if in your head you're thinking like, no, it's fine, we're still going to come back and win this, I think subconsciously you might actually start making different decisions than you normally would have. And then it starts to spiral, and then that's when you lose when you shouldn't. And that's why people say they like playing as the underdog, because of the lack of pressure.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, like, for me, one of the things that I thought was interesting from, like, the community reaction was, like, when they went out to fucking Star Series, right? They just picked up I'm a Pet and got rid of Imi and as a coach. And they went and they obviously made it to the final of Star Series, lost to Na'Vi. And everyone was, like, just, oh, yeah, there you go. It was the coaching. It was I'm a Pet's brilliant coaching. Oh, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, he'd been in the team 4 days. Like, what do they think this motherfucker's done in 4 days, right? And then they went to ECS Season 5 finals, and they beat fucking G2, FaZe, best of ones, right? So whatever. And everyone, again, it's the coaching. Look at this fucking team. They're going to be like, well, not one person has fucking said, like, oh, well, they failed at the minor, losing to teams they should really be beating. And not one person has said, maybe it wasn't, I'm a Pet might be to blame for that. No, they're saying all the players choked. It's like all the players. Like, what is this guy? Is I'm a Pet a fucking evil hypnotist or something? Like, has he played a fucking trick on the fucking entire community where everyone thinks this guy is the shit?
This is my opinion on things like this, is like, no one can know what I Am Pet's like unless you actually play with him, because you couldn't. I can't know. Maybe he is the reason they won. Maybe he's not, right? Like, I don't know the answer to that. But when someone like FNS hypes him up a lot, and then all these other players hype him up a lot, the community just feeds on whatever's been said, and they just like kind of piggyback on that and ride it to its death. And like, unless there's something being shown that he clearly is the reason, they'll just keep blaming other people because like he's got all this praise from everyone. And you know, maybe some of it's merited, you know, like he obviously seems dedicated, like he watches a million demos and stuff, but like, Yeah, I think a lot of like the community stuff is just like a lot of bandwagoning. You know, it's just like
Oh,
What? The
Like,
community
like
bandwagoning? What?
Phase is my favorite
Corey,
example.
don't be. Come on, man.
Phase is my favorite example. These guys don't even have a solid fifth. They've Croman. I'm not solid as in the player is bad, but they don't have a consistent fifth. They're still placing top 3 at events. They're still always making out of groups. They've won a couple events this year. They don't even have one of their best players. Like one of the best players in the world is just not playing, and Kerrigan gets all this shit for being a bad strat caller. How in the fuck in the world is he a bad strat caller? Like clearly he has to be utilizing people correctly. Statistically, yeah, he's not that great, but I mean, like, what do you want him to do? Like, should he you have Nico on your team, Guardian, like Rain. His main job is making sure they perform at the cost of himself. And a lot of these people are just like, oh, they could need a better in-game fragging in-game leader like Glaive. It's like Glaive probably is the best in-game leader for fragging. He might be the best in-game leader in the world, but the style that they play is much different, right? Astralis plays as like a unit, so everyone needs to contribute.
Yeah, but not even that. Like, Glaive couldn't go into a team like FaZe with all those big personalities and big egos and make them all get on the same page as him. That team had imploded inside of 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Like, the whole point it worked in Astralis is the Danes were, A, sick to the back teeth of Carrigan to the point where they were even caught, like, fucking up his vetoes. They didn't want to play the maps he wanted to play. And B, they just had sort of little respect for him as a player anymore. And like when Glaive came in, they were like, you know, they wanted Glaive to be the guy to come in. So that's a different ballpark. I don't think a player like Guardian, I mean, maybe not him. He's like a bit more subdued in his personality. But maybe Nico Olafmeister, maybe they don't have the same kind of respect for Glaive. And Glaive's pretty much, you know, like, he's a forthright guy. Like, he's very much about, we have to do it this way. He's a bit more authoritarian than Carrigan, who, like, historically has always done stuff by committee. So, yeah, I don't know. I think if you put Glaive in FaZe, I think that would be a disaster. That's not a good fit for me. So
yeah, because really skilled players, not that the people on Astralis aren't really skilled, but, like, truly star-like players like Nico and Simple need freedom. Like, you can't be like, all right, you're gonna hold this for 45 seconds, then you're gonna throw this smoke and this flash. That might work with like Zipnix because he'll never get pushed and die. He'll always do everything correct, and he knows the end goal in mind. But you're almost wasting his talent if you make him do that, right? Like you obviously have seen the tournaments where Nico or Simple, well, Simple apparently always is going off. It doesn't ever stop.
No,
but someone like Nico, you know, he might have a tournament where he's not quite as hot as the previous one. The ones where he is, you know, like, they make it to the finals, right? Like, so.
Well, my problem with going back to like both things we're talking about right now is that people don't apply parallel logic to things. Like, if FaZe drops out in group stages and Kerrigan's the reason why they lost, right? They don't apply the same logic if they win the tournament. Kerrigan's the reason why they won then. No, they don't. Because personally, I don't think you can say Kerrigan's the reason why they lost, or he's the reason why they won. You can say he's a contributing factor into both of them, but you can't. But people that'll be like, oh, they lost, they need to cut Kerrigan, or for example, Energy lost. I'm a Pets must be a terrible coach, or oh look, Energy won. I'm a Pet must be an awesome coach. Like this is based on the idea that you don't actually know. First of all, you're making an assumption based on whatever factors you think you're making your decision off of, which you have no information on for the most part. And then you're applying logic to one thing, and then if the inverse happens, you don't apply the same logic. And that's where I just sit back and I'm just like, whatever, I don't give a fuck then. Like your opinion means nothing if you're not going to apply parallel logic to both situations, because then you're just inconsistent and you're clearly biased in what you're saying.
Yeah, and I think you see this a lot, man. But like the main thing that bothers me is when, you know, fans, if you want to call them that, they create a narrative in their mind based on nothing, and then that is like the narrative they just go with, and it's just based on popularity. Like I think a lot of people, for example, I'm trying to think of examples, like the Freakazoid thing, right? There you go. That's all you need to know. Like if you've never met Ryan,
the bullying thing, like
the bullying thing.
Yeah,
the idea,
that was ridiculous, honestly.
The idea that Ryan is a fucking bully is one of the most fucking absurd things I've ever seen. And the idea that Simple was some meek little lamb You're like, guys, like are you all on fucking drugs right now? Can I have some? Because like the idea that Simple wasn't an absolute cunt to everyone when he was playing in NA. This is well documented. We've really got to a point where new Simple does exist, but that's on what, like the 5th try. This is a guy who was shit on like all of his teammates historically in the past, robbed knives from his fans. You know, like he's done so much toxic shit, right? You know, been banned for cheating in the past. People don't know the full details about that. Like, I'm happy that he got to become a better person, a better human, and an amazing player, the best player in the world, the best player we've ever had, right? It's an amazing story. If it had been Overwatch, it would never have happened. If it had been League of Legends, it would never have happened because this guy would have been banned and blacklisted from every fucking team. And when he was playing in those like pickup games in NA, he was calling everyone an absolute bag of shit. He was like saying, you know, he was critiquing everyone's games. I had it from so many players, like, oh fuck me, like you want to play on Simple's team because you win, but you don't want to play with Simple. Elige and all the guys in Team Liquid couldn't stand him because of how it was. This is all a matter of public record, by the way. Like if you're a fan, you could have you should know this, right? And then what happened was Freak, because Freakazoid is a protective dude, protective of his teammates. He believes in that brotherhood shit. That was why when he was in Cloud9, it was all, you know, let's fucking work out. Let's get muscle vests. Let's be gym bros. We're a unit. We go to we go to events and we stay together. He looks at a team like a family, right?
Right.
So he went out to stand up for his fucking family. And when the guy who had been chatting mad shit to everyone was on he said, listen, I'm not fucking scared. You want to talk shit to me? You're a pasty pale fucking, you know, go get a fucking tan. You're a little boy. You know, like, and he tried to put Simple in his place. That is in no way bullying. If anything,
well, what people got super upset about was that he said, "This is why you have no friends," or "Dude, you have no friends." Like that. That was where I was like, "Whoa!" Like, fuck. How could you say that to
Simple
him?
literally called me a retard before, and it's just like,
no, I remember.
I guess that's fine.
I remember playing FPL with Simple one time,
right.
and we were on Cash, and he was on my team, and he was playing B, and I was like the B support, you know, like I was like the second B guy, and I remember going into it just like, fuck, like this is just gonna be so shitty. No matter what I do, he's gonna be giving me shit the whole time. So I decided every time every time he would give me shit, it'd be something funny. Like he'd be like, flash, and then I would throw a flash. He'd be like, they're not fucking blind. Your flash is shit. and I would just be like, all right, man. Like, all right. So I was just like, all right, man, next time you throw the flash for me. He was like, are you going to kill anyone? I was like, maybe, man. Is your flash good? And he was like, yes, my flash is perfect. So then the next time we did it, he threw the flash for me. The guy wasn't blind, and he killed me. And I was like, Simple, man, he wasn't blind. Your flash is shit. and he just started laughing. He was like, he was just so used to just being able to talk shit to everybody. And then as soon as there was like a little bit of banter, he was like, he was cool with it. Like he liked it actually.
No, it's
so
actually really interesting because like the story that I don't think anyone knows is like on TSM we had roster problems because Twist was too young to play, right? So we went there with like a ringer, and there was a bunch of internal problems at this point, like massive ones. So not a lot of good work was done at E-League. We got destroyed. I personally played probably one of my worst events ever. Then we got Twist back on the roster, and that was a fight because like some of us wanted to keep Twist, some of us didn't. You know, we just, I don't know. It was that's a story for a different day. But like then we went, we had qualified for ECS finals, and I remember I walk in the lobby of London or the hotel, and Simple's like, Simphis, you played very bad at E-League, and I was like, thanks, man. Like, my bad. and like, he just that's the first thing he said. Like, I was just like, all right, like, fair enough. I played pretty bad. Like, and then after the event, we got third, fourth. I played pretty well for like in-game leader, and I had like some pretty big clutches versus Cloud9 and stuff. Obviously these are lineups that are much different back then, and his team actually went out like pretty early, and that was like probably one of his only bad events ever, to be fair, where he like went like -20 or something. And I remember he was like, Simphis, a nice job in the game, and I was like, yeah, but you sucked though. like I just want to see what he would do, because like, you know. And then he was just like, he just looked at me and he's like, yes, but that will do better. And I was just like, all right, fair enough. Like,
Yeah, he can take it. That was
as long as you can take it, right? Like,
yeah, that was the
if
other
you
thing
get
that messed me
butthurt
up.
about it, then that's what like kind of like is kind of messed up. You know, like I talk shit to people, but if people talk shit to me, I'm not like, oh my god, why are they talking shit to me? Like, it's like, well, I probably deserve it a little bit. You know, like.
Yeah, but that's what messed me up about that whole Freakazoid thing, right? Like, because it's not like Simple came out and said, "Oh, Freak is bullying me." Everybody went and did it on Simple's behalf, and again, I was just looking at it, right? Like, I couldn't believe it. I was like, what did Ryan do? Like, what did he do? Like, I'd understand it if it was like, I know, Thorin versus Simple, right? Like, there's a ton of shit that people don't like Thorin for. Mostly that he just expresses his opinion and doesn't give a fuck. But, yeah, exactly right. Like, people can't handle the fact that, like, he just says what he wants on Twitter because they know they probably couldn't get away with it, right?
And he's even openly said that his Twitter is like a persona. Like, it's not even like, it's just like it's not a meme, but it's like a persona. Like, he's even said that. So it's
exactly, and people still get mad triggered by it, right? Yeah. But I was trying to think of something Ryan had done, like just something he'd done bad, and I just couldn't think of it. I couldn't think of a reason why the community was so quick to label him the bully in the equation when everybody in North America knew it was the other way around. It's not like Simple came out and cried. That was what blew my mind. Like, if Simple had said, "Oh, I felt really bad and I thought the nasty man in the muscle vest was going to hurt me," like if he'd said that, then like, okay, you're playing to the gallery. But that didn't happen either. Like you say, Simple generally takes it and gives it, and that's the world he used to live in. Right, and he doesn't even do it now. He's a super supportive dude.
I think Eastern Europeans are good at that, though. They're good at like
that's the
being
culture.
Blunt and like, but they can also take it, right? Like, well, if you can't dish it, like if you can't take it, you shouldn't be talking shit in the first place.
You know what it is, Ridge? It's the same. We have a lot of this going on in Canada right now, and honestly, just the world in general. But really, it's really bad in Canada too. Is that people like to make themselves feel better by putting themselves on the moral high ground. And that's what that was too. It's like, oh my god, look, Freakazoid's bullying Simple. I am a better person now because I'm saying that that's wrong. And then everyone's like, oh yeah, no, we're all good people too, right? Yeah, no, we are. Yeah, bully. He's a bully. Yeah, we hate that.
Well, I guess the only other thing we're forgetting is the aspect of what really made people mad, along with everything else, was that he joined his like TeamSpeak channel like after the game or like at a different part when he said that stuff, which is like, all right, but like. It's still like pro level shit talk, you know what I mean? Like it's just like
that's nothing.
Like
that's fucking nothing. If we could send you some screenshots or some of the recordings I have of just our practices alone, that is fucking nothing. I'm not gonna say which player, but there is a player on a team that got into a long-winded shit talking session with Corey over rounds, like rounds of shit talk, like and it was like
forever, right?
And
like, even the top NA teams will, when you're beating them, you could have said 0 words and they'll be like, blah, blah, blah. They'll just say some like cocky shit and you're just like.
Or they'll hit you with like a LOL question mark when you kill them. And it's just like, man, like, happens all the time. All the fucking time.
Yeah. It's so crazy, dude. Like, I mean, again, like there was a clip, right? This fucking old boys team, like Sean and Fifth and Jordan and the boys, right? Like, there was a clip on the front page of Reddit of like Jordan teeing off, getting super triggered over like losing a game. And he even said in the clip, like, I'm fucking so triggered right now. And like, and everybody was like, yeah, because it's Jordan, right? It's Jordan. He's allowed to do that because the narrative is that Jordan's the, a guy who would never get angry, never shit talk.
Who was he teeing off on? Like the teammates or the other team?
Yeah, his teammates. His teammates. Okay. He was like, they made a mistake. He was like, they'd lost their first game or something, and he was just salty about it,
Wait, they really lost the game?
Yeah, I think they did. They did, or it was close or something. But I think they lost one. And he was like saying, like, he was like shouting at someone saying you shouldn't have pushed and died. And everyone else on the team was kind of laughing about it and thinking Jordan was joking. And I think then Fifth goes like, "Oh, you're fucking serious right now?" And he went, "Yeah, I'm fucking serious. I'm fucking pissed off. I'm triggered." Right? So it was like,
that's funny.
Yeah, and everyone was like, "Oh, but it's Jordan. It's Jordan." Then I see a clip of Dazed doing it on the front page of the subreddit, and everyone, Dazed is human garbage. He should be put down. It's like, guys, it's the same fucking thing.
To be fair, that might be true, but that's not why. To be fair, that might be true, but that's not why.
You know me, I like Sam, dude.
Me too. I got nothing against him, and I'm sure he'll find that funny, if anything. But
again, I mean, like and he knows I'm like, done videos about him and stuff. He knows how it is. He knows how the game is played. But
I don't
like,
think
you know,
he'll
again,
ever
it's
pretend
like
he's
they
some
create a
great
narrative. They
person.
create a narrative, and Dazed is evil, and Jordan is, you know, purity personified, and therefore they can engage in the same type of behavior, in the same way, in the same context, and people will have different reactions.
Like I said, they
And
don't apply
fucking
parallel
love-
logic, man. It pisses me off so much. It makes me so mad. Not like
man.
okay, that's a bit of an exaggeration. I'm not really that mad, but when I look at it, it's just like it totally just like takes me out of any like you know when you go into something you try to like have an opinion on it and think about like why this is happening, why this is, and I see that and I'm just like, oh, so you're just a complete idiot then. Okay, that's it then. I don't need to even think about this anymore. You can't even apply the same logic.
I've said that to people, right? And this is what pisses people off the most when I've said it to them. Like when I see people doing that, they're just a moron to me. Like it's
exactly.
You immediately cease to exist.
Yeah.
Like nothing, no words that come out your mouth are gonna register anymore.
Yeah.
And like I tell them, your praise. They go, oh, but I'm a fan. I love you. No, your praise is meaningless now. Like they don't get it. Like I tell them, your praise is meaningless because you're an idiot. You know, like praise is only worth something if you respect the source, right? But like you're clearly a fucking stupid person. So if you think I'm good, I cannot take that seriously. Maybe you're wrong because you're an idiot. You know, so you have to ignore it. I ignore the praise and the fucking hate from the same source.
Couldn't agree with you more. Couldn't agree with you more. As soon as someone has proven to just be a complete dolt, you're just like, well, nothing you say matters to me anymore. I could not care less about anything you have to say.
Yeah, and people hate that. That's when they turn from being, and I'm sure you've got guys like this that follow your careers. That's when they were fans, and then you see their name in every thread like a jilted lover. I used to think
I don't read
Richard
the threads.
was cool, but he did this to me, and then he blocked me on Twitter, and now I hate him forever. It's like you turn them into Gollum, you know, like just fucking relax, dog. I just don't want to see your tweets, like, you know, I'm not. And I do not think about you at all, and I will never, you know, I'll never do anything now. People are fucked up in esports, dude.
Yeah, I don't even read the threads. I used to way back when, and then I realized, like, I remember one time. I remember this was like my moment. It was in like 2015, maybe sometime in 2015. And I was reading one match thread where we had won the game against a team I don't remember exactly, but it was a game maybe we shouldn't have won, and I had played really well. And there was this guy in the thread who wrote this really long paragraph about how really just all nice things about me and how he thinks really good things are going to happen for me and all this stuff. And then like 1 week later, we lost a game to a team we shouldn't have lost to, and I had played really bad, and that same kid was in there talking shit about me. And that's what, at that moment, I like realized, my 18-year-old self like realized, like, oh, why am I reading this? Like, wait, so like what they're saying, it doesn't matter? Oh my god, what a fucking epiphany for an 18-year-old to
the thing
finally
that makes
have.
me literally laugh is I love reading HLTV comments. It's one of my favorite pastimes, actually. like I think that it's probably making me lose massive amounts of intelligence, but it's.
I thought you were gonna say gains. Massive amounts of gains.
Like,
I'm wasting
I
time.
love these threads in the
comments.
sidebar. They're the greatest thing that I can ever read. But when you go into a match page where, like, you know, it might not even be like a crazy underdog. You know, like it'll just be like, you know, MIBR versus FaZe or something, like, and it'll be like two good teams, and then people are like, so obvious that this is rigged, and then a bunch of people are agreeing with it. I'm like, really? Like, you guys really think these games are rigged? Like, but they're dead serious though. Like, some of them are trolling, obviously, but like some people are like dead serious that like the games are rigged. They're like 0-10 to 16-14, obviously rigged. Like,
hey, Back Sucks is the best for that. That subreddit is outrageous. I don't know if you've ever checked it out. I've never seen anything like it.
Used to, when the clips used to be more real, you know what I mean? Like, there used to be a time where like the aim locks actually look like aim locks. Mm-hmm. These things magically have disappeared.
Yeah, well, like 2015.
Yeah.
Talking about those.
Yeah. Like
but now they're all gone though. Now there's no more real aim locks anymore after all this happened. It's weird, crazy.
Swiping their mice slow enough. Everyone raise their sense, I guess. But like, like, I don't know, like most of the clips now, I agree though, they're shit. Like it'll be some guy that like he like moves his crosshair and it like glances over a dude and like stops to the right of him and they're like, look.
I saw one the other day on the CSGO Reddit. It was like Kiyoshima got like a 1D through a smoke, and everyone was like, look, aim locking. I was like, wait, what?
I watched it on stream and I slowed it down and I was like, how can anyone think this is cheating, guys? Like everyone was laughing.
I remember
about
it was
and
like,
put it in my YouTube
I remember
channel.
it was like, I think I remember the video where it was on Mirage and he was like in CT at A,
Yeah,
and there's a smoke in the middle of the site, and he's got his crosshair lined up to like spam like the default plant spot, and a guy comes running out of the smoke and he just flicks over and 1Ds him. It's like, oh, look at the aim lock, he was pre-aimed in the smoke, and then the guy ran out. I was like, he was pre-aimed on the spot where you would spam if the guy started planting the bomb. Like that is like where you would put your crosshair if a guy is about to start planting.
Exactly what I said.
Yeah.
So look, this will make this podcast suddenly lit, right?
Oh,
So
suddenly
check
lit
it.
like it was never lit before until Richard
No,
got here.
no, but I mean,
Okay,
okay,
yeah,
so
whatever.
You bring up cheating, it
No,
definitely
sure.
raises
Yeah,
reviews
here you
by
go.
like
It
at
was
least
hovering at
200K.
7.5. It's hovering at 7.5 right now. We're gonna take it up to fucking 10. So look, I'll agree with you. I think it's fucking weird how we see less aim locks right now, and I think a lot of people have a perception. Well, it's not even a perception. It's like a conspiracy theory, that I'm bought off by Valve.
Wait, you're not?
And I go out. No, I did. Hey, I ain't got no fucking stickers, right?
I am actually. I'm there to kind of like reinforce that cheating could happen. Like
Yeah.
they need both, right?
But for me, this is how I think
I thought we were
about
all
it.
bought off by Valve. Was it just me? Like, Richard, you're not? What?
Yeah, all right, shit. Yeah, like, I'm gonna get killed now by like one of the fucking Scrilluminati's gonna come and get me. But no, like I've seen it a lot that there's a perception that I am the guy that goes out and sort of says there's no cheating in the pro level, nothing to worry about, nothing to see here, folks. And it's like I'm the man in black that gets there, deletes everyone's fucking memories, and we never talk about it, right?
Do you even say
like,
that?
No, never. That's
Okay.
what people say, right?
Okay.
So here's what I believe now. I think now maybe one or two at the very top level could maybe even think about getting away with it. I think, I'm not saying it's perfect. I'm not saying we have a perfect LAN system, but I think the levels of scrutiny and the levels of security are probably the best they've ever been. And with so many people watching and
the salaries being higher,
like why would you toggle to win 50K when 50K is 2 months of salary? You know what I mean? Because if you get caught, then you've cost yourself 200K. So that's just straight economics. Now, I'm not saying. I mean, look at
Probably more
like
than that. Think about it. Think about if someone from G2 got caught cheating right now. Let's just say hypothetically, like let's just say Shocks got caught cheating right now, right? First of all, his career's gone, salary's gone, all this stuff. If you think G2's not suing the shit out of him.
Oh yeah, for real.
They're suing the shit out of him, like to the point, like you know what I mean. Like think about all the money.
It's in a lot of contracts now. If you get caught cheating, or if you get in a sex scandal, anything that would be reputational.
What kind of sex?
Yeah, I was about to say, what's considered a sex scandal here?
Well,
like underage or something. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you guys can do the fucking imagination on that one. But you know what I'm saying? Like, so if it was like a Me Too moment. Yeah, you're gonna get fucking. You're not just gonna go to fucking jail, which is where you belong, but you're gonna get fucking sued for damaging the brand. Yeah. And it's in the contracts. It's there. Cheating, fraud, sex scandal, shit, drug use, even in some cases. It's now in a lot of these contracts I'm seeing. So yeah, you're absolutely on point. You would get sued into oblivion.
Oh yeah.
Probably for the value of all of the salary they've ever paid.
You'd be like, if it was me, I'd be declaring bankruptcy by the time I was done. Like, if you know what I mean, like 100%. Like I'd be screwed. Like maybe some guys are sitting on millions and they could get away with throwing a couple hundred at a.
Ain't no CS player fucking saving.
I don't think so.
Let's be real. I'd be amazed if everyone's paying their taxes.
Yeah. No. True. True. Yeah.
But yeah. So you've got that to deal with. So then on top of that, right? I mean, like you say, you've cut off all future income. You'll never be taken seriously again. You'll never get a sponsorship deal again. You'll never be on a top team again. You'll never make a big salary again. You can never go to a Valve major again. Now, I'm not saying that I still think there are one or two pros stupid enough to risk it, because that's just human nature. That's every sport, right? Like you might be the best player in the world or the best cyclist in the world, Lance Armstrong, but you might still think, fuck it, like I want to stay here, so I'm going to juice my fucking tits off, That might just be how it is, right? But real talk, I do not think it is a widespread problem. Yet in 2014, 2015, when all these aim locks were coming up and what was labeled the vackening happened, where we saw like SF and a few of the guys get banned, I actually wrote an article saying this shouldn't surprise anybody because for as long as I've been around Counter-Strike, shit has been passed around the pro community, and it's the pros. Like, if you get banged out through a smoke, right, and you want to, you can't figure out why you keep getting shot through smokes, and you know something's afoot, you might go talk to that player and be like, listen, I'm gonna, rat you out, or tell me how it's done. And I know plenty of examples. That was like how the ambient occlusion bug got spread around initially back in Source, which is like, Pimp got banned from a fucking tournament for using that back when he was a kid.
That was so you could see through smokes, right?
Yeah, but I mean, it was unreal. It was like, they looked like the fucking, that shadow.
It was more of a fog. It was more of a fog.
Like a silhouette.
It turned the model into like that thing that kills one of the Baratheons at the start of Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
You know that thing that comes out of the woman? You look like that. Yeah, you look like that. So just in a smoke, you can just see perfectly. Bang, bang. Yeah. And everybody was using that in Source.
I actually think it's more likely that up-and-comers are cheating than...
Yeah. And that's another I was going to say. Yeah, to get noticed. And that's historically something that has always gone on in Counter-Strike. You use an exploit or an actual cheat. You get noticed, and you get noticed for the wrong reasons, usually. People say, this kid, he's come from nowhere, he's cheating his fucking tits off. But then all it takes is one guy to go, I actually think he's sick, and you get your trial, and then you've only got to play at 70%. You've only got to use what you've learned from the cheats and just hang in the pocket and be pleasant.
As long as you're not always cheating, right? If you're playing most of your pugs and you're death matching legit, you're still gaining real skill.
Exactly.
But
We're
then
teaching
when you
people how to get away with this right now.
Well,
which I'm okay with. Which, to be fair, I don't give a fuck. But I'm just
obviously, I hate it. I've dedicated my career to trying to stamp this shit out. Every time I get access to a cheat program, I send it to Valve. I've done this all the time. I did it recently with those Norwegian motherfuckers, and I think cheating has no fucking place anywhere near competitive Counter-Strike. Right? To be clear, I mean, it shouldn't need to be said. But what I am saying is, it's not like I don't believe it's happening ever. Like there are certain placements where you are more likely to see it, but high-level, pro-level Counter-Strike isn't it.
No, not anymore.
Not anymore. Yeah,
I also think it's one of those things where like people will be like, oh well, if he cheated, how come he's still good? It's like, well, it's not like he played every scrim with cheats on, right? Like he didn't play every match cheating. In fact, you might only ever even toggle your cheats when you're losing, or when the game is 14-14, or you're on a one of those, it's 12-7 for their team, but you're broke as fuck if you lose this round. Maybe you busted it. Like, if you were smart, that's how you do it, right? You'd only use it, like, occasionally to give yourself an edge. And think about how many games go to overtime, 16-14, 16-13. If you're guaranteeing 1 to 3 rounds a game, at the crucial moments, that makes your team win, right? So,
and that probably makes you the star impact player as well, right?
Yeah, for sure. So people think like these guys are cheating every round if they're cheating. They're not going to cheat every round.
All of a sudden, there's going to be threads on Reddit tomorrow about how the star players aren't the cheaters. It's the impact players that are the cheaters. Richard Lewis and Semphis say so. If anyone's going to cheat, it's the impact players, guys.
Glaive is just like, the device is like, Glaive, you're so smart. Glaive's like, yeah, I know. Hit B this round. There's just one guy there, like he's just the IGL cheating with his like.
And I'm sure, one round a game.
I am sure that has happened in somewhere along the line in Counter-Strike history. I just don't it just doesn't happen now. And in 2015, which is what I wanted to get in to turn the podcast up to 10, I'll be real about it. I saw all the same clips everyone else did, right? And I think something was going around.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think the aim locks we see now look anything like the 2015 aim locks. Like even when it crosshair
they were so common. They were like every day almost.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. Everybody was looking like constantly once we saw like the first wave of clips.
But I found
that was just outrageous.
I found it weird though that like most of the clips came from fucking the actual stream. Like, think about if people went and, like, watched demos in entireties, right? Like, I'm sure maybe someone has, but, like, they would probably be even more common back then. I mean, not that aim locks are impossible to happen by accident, but directly to the head through like weird elevations. Sometimes it's just kind of
Well, this was always my view on it, and I challenge anybody that feels like they want to do this. Go back and watch any of my demos through my whole career. You're not going to find one of those. Maybe I'm just not good enough. Maybe I don't lift my mouse enough. I don't know.
Well, you know, you'll accidentally trace someone at some point.
But no,
like,
no, I'm talking about the
like,
2015
like,
aim
yeah.
locks. Like
Yeah,
the
the
one where
direct
it's
to the
like,
head,
boom,
like,
right to the head,
walks.
through the wall, down through catwalk on Dust 2. Like, you know, like those ones that were happening back then. I challenge anyone to go find one of me doing that. And that's why when I saw that stuff coming out, I was just like, and you know, I talked to Apex about this, and he actually gave me a good way of looking at it. This is how I've addressed it ever since. Is he was like, look, it's possible people are cheating. I can't say that people aren't cheating because it's just there's no way for me to know that. How could I know that? But I can't also say that I think people are cheating because if I go into any matches with the mindset that the other team could be cheating, I'm not going to play my best. And I was like, that's just probably the best way any pro player can look at this. Because if you can't go into matches thinking that the other team could be cheating, because if you do that, even if they are cheating, if you do that, you give yourself such a less chance of winning the game because you're in your own head before the match starts.
I mean, people forget because again, you get a lot of newcomers, especially in Vac Sucks. You can tell these guys they only know the history retroactively. That's why they keep posting endlessly the same clips. It's like, yeah, motherfucker, we're past that. We're long past that. That's a 2015 clip. That isn't even relevant in today's discussion. But people forget that there was that video of Shocks. And I fucking hate the French scene for this. There's a lot of gossipy bitches, and they do fucked up shit to each other, like recording each other without their permission. But there was that video of Shocks that went out where Shocks was watching that Flusher clip on Dust 2, and he's saying like, "Oh my god, how can anyone think this isn't a cheat?"
Yeah.
Right? And then, right. So you've got one of the best players to ever touch the game saying it was a cheat, and then they put that video out. And everyone's like, "Oh my god, Shocks is saying Flush is a cheater." So then Shocks had to come out and go, "Nah, I don't really think that. I was just goofing off with a couple of friends, and I think there might even have been like a handshake photo opportunity or some fucked up shit." It's like, look, all pros thought Flusher was on the fucking gear.
Everyone did.
Everyone did. Like, we got to, like, just say that. I'm not even saying he was or he wasn't, but everybody thought he was when all those clips were floating around.
Yep.
And maybe it ain't fair, but you know, we don't see those clips anymore. Like Corey says, right? Where did all the clips go? If it was something fundamental to someone's playing style, it would just be happening consistently all the time, yet you don't see them. And as I said, the ones that get pushed out now don't look like the 2015 clips at all.
They're they're grasping, you know, like some of them can look kind of similar in like a sense, but like they're not. You could say the cheats got better, right? Like I guess that's an argument.
I'm sure that's the next theory. Right?
Yeah, like I'm sure you could be like, oh well, they're not going to obviously lock on. They're going to move like 40% to the right. And
Corey's actually a mod on Factsucks. I don't know if you know that.
Well, I mean, like think about it. If you were actually like a pro and you were going to cheat, right? It would not make sense to actually lock on the model because you don't need to know his exact location. You just need to know his general area. And as a pro, if you're going out, let's say B on say you're the lurker on overpass on T side, and you're going to go through the monster tunnel, just knowing that no one's to the fucking right, just knowing that only makes your life 100 times easier because you now just have to kind of go on the right side looking to the left, and you can kind of do a little fake clear to the right, and then whatever. But like people don't really understand, like even if you're not cheating to know someone's exact location, cheating to know where people aren't is like really, really a big deal at like high level CS because everyone knows entering a site there's like there's usually 2 or 3 good spots, like those are the best spots, and then maybe a certain player makes 1 or 2 more work, or there's some unusual ones, but it just makes your life easier.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like I think, like I've said it before. Like there's definitely people that like share knowledge and share stuff, and they try and keep it self-contained, but you will sort of see like a few people from like in a little clique, and they'll all be doing sort of the same stuff. I've seen so many like exploits, again going back to the good old source days before we had like consistency. I got taught very early on there was a way you could turn the walls pink by alt-tabbing out the game. And on some textures, it would have like pink and black squares, but on others, it would have pink and see-through squares. And the see-through squares were total transparency. So like boxes, doors, and you could just get this by alt-tabbing and fucking with your video shader, right? And, you know, like, I make no bones about it. I used to play pubs and use that shit and fucking just wreck people. Up, hide behind the door, I get banged. You know, like fucking, you know, and I got.
There was an exploit
by a UK pro.
there was an exploit in Source, I believe, where you fried your video card and it gave you wall hacks. Like, you would literally do something on your video card, it would fry it, it'd still work, but like it just wouldn't render parts of the map. So
I remember there was a guy who did that. It might have been 1.6. It might have been CS:GO. He got banned for cheating. His name was Muzovic. He was an ESEA pugger, and he did something with his CPU that he overclocked. I don't know exactly what he did. I'm not a fucking expert, but pretty much it gave him speed hacks. But like he couldn't control it either.
I remember that.
It's not like he would like
cores.
it's not like he would like speed hack to a certain spot and then he'd be waiting there for you. It was like he would see you, you'd see him, and then all of a sudden he would just teleport 3 feet to the right, and then he could shoot you, and you'd be looking in the wrong spot. And I remember he ended up getting banned for it.
In 1.6, you could bind mouse wheel to time refresh, which would like you would scroll your mouse wheel as you entered B, and you would just teleport across the whole screen. You couldn't kill anyone during this, but if they were opping an angle, they wouldn't even see you. You would literally teleport past their
People
crosshair.
don't know that, but you can do that right now in CS:GO too. If as you're going into a site, no, I know. As you're going into a site, you spam escape as you're going in. Your body like glitches into the site. Yeah. Of course, you can't do anything when you're shooting it. Like you're just a meat shield. But people could do it on like full eco rounds, going into sites, make yourself harder to hit and shit.
Yeah, and look, I'll tell you another one. There was a top team, all right, and this was like back. This is when Source was competitive. You know, this is the point where we've got Z Block, right, and we've got all of that stuff. But and I'm sure it wasn't just one team, but there was one team that was quite notable for doing it. There was if you use NetGraph 2, I think it was, the one with literally it gave you a little output.
Graph, like an actual graph.
Like an EKG. You could look at walls, and if there was people behind it, it would spike.
Oh, I remember that. That.
And I used to go to LANs, and you weren't supposed to use this command. Motherfuckers were doing it. Motherfuckers were straight doing it, like competitive, pros on salaries and with jerseys on, and they were doing it, and it was a functional wall hack. Then going way back to 2006, I want to say, it was the first time the Germans and Europeans came over to play Counter-Strike Source LANs, and we were at I-30, I want to say, at multiplayer, and there was you could alt-tab out of the game to disable a flash. So if you saw a flash coming in, you would time when it was going to hit you. You'd look at it. You'd alt-tab out. The flash would go off in game. You'd alt-tab back in, and the flash wouldn't have rendered on the screen, so you wouldn't be blind, even if you took it fully to the face. And it was better to take it fully to the face. You just had a full, clear screen when you came back in the game. And the Germans, I mean, always the Germans back then, they were just toggling their tits off with that.
Cheater, dude.
Yeah, right? Yeah. But no, it was... It got alternate attacks. They were called alt-tab attacks for like so long. Because they were using that bug at LAN. They didn't give a fuck.
The admins wouldn't ban them for it or anything. Like it wasn't.
Admins? Yo.
Sorry, maybe my bad. Maybe I'm out of my depth here. I don't know.
Yeah, This was like 128 team fucking LAN. BYO
really?
admins.
Okay.
Fuck that noise. But yeah, like you just didn't have them. Like no one there was just so much shit. And like I said, these were the pros using this stuff. And again, you would talk to them like privately. Just to one side, not what they said publicly. I mean, we didn't even have social media back then. It was a different world,
Yeah,
and they would just be like, well, I discovered the exploit, and the exploit's in the game, so I'm not cheating. They completely disseminated it from,
some people, like, especially in MOBA games, feel like that. You find, like, some sort of exploit that's not really a cheat, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, it pretty much is, but you're not doing anything, like, external, right? Like, you're within the game. People just think it's fine. And the thing is, though, is I think a lot of people will use those things, like, likely. Even in current pro CS, like, you remember when there was that jump bug where you could jump up and, like, you could hide? That's a fucking basically cheating. That's like a wall hack, right?
Yeah.
Like, people used it. Not everyone, but it's hard for me to really know what I should say on that. Like, obviously, the ideal thing is no one would ever do that. But then you also have to think, like, are the other team have as good morals as you, right? So then if they're using it, are you gonna use it back versus them? If it's, I don't know. Like, it's kind of gray area.
The way I see it is, especially for a bug like that, as soon as it gets used, you can't hate the people for using it. At least I don't. I can't hate them for using it. If they found a bug in the game and they hit it the whole time, and then now they want to use it at this big event, like what Big did with the jump bug, I fucking go for it. But then as soon as it's brought up, and then what needs to happen is that organizers of the event need to go, okay, guys, that's not allowed anymore. Like, I get that. Like, the first day, we didn't know about it, but now that's not allowed anymore. You can't do that anymore, And,
and I think when you get into a situation where like players have to make like gentlemen's agreements not to use it, like fuck that. Like, if you're a tournament organizer and you're saying to players, agree among yourselves, you're not doing your job.
I
Like,
agree
that's
100%.
a disgrace.
The tournament organizers need to come out and be like, all right, look, they're not going to be penalized. Obviously, there was no rule against this at the time, but now there's a rule against this. So now anybody else caught using it now, you're going to get penalized or whatever the fuck.
And I do think the community wants to jump on people, and I think it's natural to want to jump. Kind of like when Fnatic did the jump boost, or not the jump boost, but the auto sniper boost with Olaf on Overpass. Remember, he was boosted up. But in their defense,
I don't remember that.
You don't remember? Yeah.
I don't know. I forgot.
But when that happened, in their defense, is they did ask the admins ahead of time. They said, "Is this allowed?" And they got approved, and then they used it, and then the community hated on them, and it was like. To be honest, Fnatic did a bad job explaining themselves. All they really needed to say was like, look, we came out, we asked the admins first. It was said it was allowed, but it kind of got blown up. But like,
yeah.
No, it's honestly mind-blowing that Fnatic is the one who took all the shit for that, when really the tournament organizer botched that whole thing so fucking hard. Like, unbelievably, just the worst handling of any situation I've ever seen, I think, at a CSGO event.
Sure. I mean, I will say this, like, Fnatic... definitely like I don't think they can come out and be like, oh, we got hate and it was unfair. I don't think there's any way you can say that, because they did do some shady shit. Like, the bug could have been patched out of the game by the time the tournament came around. They found a video of someone using the bug online and then asked them to take it down so only they would know about it. And it it was a YouTube video.
I've got zero problems with that, Richard. I've got no problems with that. I respect the hustle, dude. I got no problems with that.
Okay, I guess
Richard,
I do have a problem
about that boost.
When
they did, but Overpass was their auto ban.
Right. So you actually knew about it too? Because I'm sure pros, like you say, the pros talk.
We were actually emailed it like 2 days before the LAN by the guy that had given it to Fnatic because he felt bad or something. Yeah. He liked Jordan or our team. I can't remember. It was a while ago. So we actually sent it, and then Sean or someone was looking at it like, "Whoa, like, you guys want to play Overpass?" And it was like, "No, like it doesn't matter." Like, even like looking at how broken it was, our Overpass probably would have been pretty sick with it. But like, yeah, it was our auto veto.
Well, 14 to 1/2, right? So that's
yeah.
So I'll tell you, man, you've got to be fucking happy you dodged that bullet, dude. Because imagine if it had been an American team like that had pulled that shit out, or Canadian, North American team that had pulled that shit out.
A North American team that was on Adderall doing all these boosts on Overpass.
Real fast reaction time.
It would have been real bad.
No, actually, if we played them, we would have just been so fast we just snapped up and just killed the guy boosted. Natural.
Well, that's what Adderall does for you, right? Like, you can see, like, you would have been able to see him as you're running out of spawn.
Yeah, so focused. But the funniest thing about the Adderall thing to me was, like, I literally said it made us play worse. Like, I actually said that.
Yeah.
Like, I literally said it made, like, there was also no rules against anything like that at the time. So, like, whether you want to argue legality, you don't know if I have a prescription or anyone else has a prescription.
And they're not legally allowed to ask you either, which is
and you legally can't do it unless there's like a fucking clause in the tournament organizer saying like no, doing a drug test or whatever, which is fine, which is what I wanted to happen anyways. I didn't say that to not get a drug test put in. I wanted one in the game, like I think that's better for people.
Yeah, I actually, so I'll agree. I'll agree with drugs testing in esports when we can decide what drugs actually help people. Like what's considered.
Oh yeah, no, I don't think that people should be banned for smoking weed. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, but I mean, even Adderall, right? Like, show me a paper that says it is performance enhancing in an esports context. I know other areas it's considered to be performance enhancing, but like I've talked to dude, I was the fucking original Adderall whistleblower. I was talking about how if you went to Call of Duty lands, motherfuckers were popping pills left, right, and center.
Oh no, the Call of Duty teams are the worst for.
And the Halo before it, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I know, man. Those console gamers. I remember I had a friend who was a professional Call of Duty player, and they wouldn't eat. They would they wouldn't even drink water. Popping energy drinks and Adderall the whole event. It's just like, man, you're gonna die. Like,
well, let me tell you, there was an event where a kid, I think it was before the final, it was before a stage game. Kid had an Adderall overdose, started fucking, kind of freaking out. He took too much and said he wasn't feeling very well. Yeah. And the tournament organizers, instead of, sort of saying, well, this is like, unacceptable, not safe environment. We've had to call in medics. We're going to start, looking at it. They knew it would be a PR fucking nightmare.
Oh, did they have to call in like an ambulance, like medics? Like, get him...
This guy, you could have fried an egg on this motherfucker.
Oh, shit.
So, yeah, he had, so what they said was he drank too many energy drinks. They blamed energy drinks and tried to hush it up. I got sent a bunch of shit about it, but it just wasn't fair. Like, it would have been an important piece of reporting, but it wouldn't have been fair on the kid,
Yeah,
so
fair
I didn't.
Point. I get it, yeah.
So I didn't, because that could have had real world repercussions. That could have cost him his job. Could have got him kicked out of home. I don't know.
And it's not like he's the only one, right? He would just happen to be the one who did it the worst.
And he would have been the poster boy for Adderall.
Yeah.
So I just let that one slide.
Yeah,
but they all knew that I knew. The tournament organizers knew that I knew. The teams knew that I knew. The players knew that I knew. And again, I think it was fairly obvious. Like a few people, tweeted at me going, "Hey, did you see what happened?"
Yeah, well,
here?
you don't really get fevers and need to go to the hospital because you drink too many energy. Like, I mean, I guess that would be true if you drank 12. But
maybe if you drank, if you had
the misconception people have though about like Adderall and some of these stimulant drugs is that like you take them and then you become a god. It's not like that, if anything, the players that aren't taking these things are probably better because they don't need to rely on them. It's like people that drink a lot of coffee all the time. They have to keep taking more and more coffee. Eventually, you can't anymore. You burn yourself out. So your career timeline gets reduced, right? Mm-hmm. Like if you need Adderall to perform, at a certain point, you're going to need too much Adderall, and you won't be able to sustain anymore. And once you have to stop taking your Adderall, then you're a bad player, right? Whereas the guy that isn't taking anything, maybe he takes like an energy drink or something, he's going to have a quite longer career. Because he won't have to rely on anything but caffeine, which is, it's a drug. It's a stimulant. You will get withdrawals. I've actually haven't drank any coffee for a while, and you definitely feel it. But once you get used to not having coffee, you're fine again, right?
Yeah. But for the week leading up to an event, I always cut out caffeine so that when I'm at the event, I can actually like drink like a Red Bull and be like and feel like okay, I'm good to go. Whereas if I'm full of caffeine all the time going into it, then I feel like I need to drink like 2 or 3 of them to even like have any sort of an effect.
When I was a manager, I had energy drinks like forbidden from my players. Like we only took them in absolute crisis situations. That was like considered deploying the nukes. That was like the DEFCON 1 shit. I used to make sure all my players hydration number 1, diet number 2. If I saw anyone eating any shit like sugar and fucking all that, used to fucking slap it out their hand like no, here, take this. Because I've been around the game too long, man. I saw people like game 1, day 1, 9 a.m. Because you had to play like 12 fucking games a day back then or something fucked up, and it's like, yep, you're popping the Red Bull at 9 a.m. are you? Well, you're dead by 12, and that's when the more important games are coming up. And then people are like, oh, so what, save the Red Bull top? No, don't ever do the fucking Red Bull. Get a good night's rest. Hydrate. Maybe a little tiny cup of coffee at some point in the evening, maybe. But once you get reliant on caffeine, reliant on sugar to sort of power you through, it's like you held onto the balloon, man, and it's going to fucking pop at some point.
People don't even understand, like, being like eating good digestible carbohydrates and keeping your sodium higher than people think. A lot of people think sodium is bad for you. I promise, if you're on low sodium and you up it, you'll feel better. There's obviously a point where you're taking in too much. It's different for every person, especially to how much you exercise, but you will get a surprising amount of energy. I remember I used to always be that guy, like no sodium ever. I would, chicken, nothing, rice, nothing, broccoli. But as soon as you start salting everything, and I'm not saying excessively, obviously eating a McDonald's meal is going to hit you with like,
mate, they put salt on the motherfucking salads.
Yeah, I mean the sodium levels in like certain things extremely high, but it is an like it helps your body function, right? So yeah,
I mean, I know it doesn't look like I know about nutrition because I'm a fat piece of shit, but like obviously, you know what I mean. Like back in the day, I did used to take all that shit seriously, and I've talked about this before. This is another nightmare coming. This is all the sponsorship out the window immediately, but it's the right thing to say. I think over reliance on energy drinks is not healthy. I think I actually support regulation of energy drinks. I know it's a bit of a meme in the UK. You got a license for that butter knife, mate, and all that, right? I know that's a fucking meme. But like honestly, I think energy drinks are fucking dangerous. I think I've seen kids, like you say, like as young as like 12, go to events and they're popping fucking, huge cans of this sugary shit.
Yeah.
And it's like, yo, that ain't good for you, dog. And I know they're like huge sponsors in the esports space, but like, yeah, we got.
I think
got
if you drink them, you should drink the sugar-free ones. They taste pretty good, and you won't have as much of a crash if you're gonna do it.
Yeah, whenever I drink any of them now, I only do the sugar-free ones. You can't get those ones that are like 260 calories and just fucking full of so much sugar and bullshit.
Yeah.
Not trying to pretend the sugar-free ones are like healthy or anything, by the way.
No.
But
yeah. But again, man, the amount of
some
times
are worse than others. But
the amount of times that I see, like, you watch like the coaches, the teams, I'm talking about, the motherfuckers that get the drinks, right, where they pretend they're coaches or whatever. They live the little coaching fantasy, and it's just like, hey guys. It's 2:00 time for more energy. Just like, yo, you're killing these kids. What the fuck are you doing?
So I saw a study today that I haven't looked into more. So, but the person that said it is relatively reliable. He said like caffeine is split up into like 4 people. So you have like fast metabolizers that are sensitive, fast metabolizers that are non-sensitive, and then slow metabolizers that are sensitive, and slow metabolizers that are non-sensitive. And apparently, fast metabolizers that are non-sensitive can drink caffeine and have like not really that many bad effects. It'll actually be like it will protect their heart and they'll feel better. It'll be like almost like a positive. But slow metabolizer that's sensitive, it will almost be as bad as smoking cigarettes. So you get into like knowing your body becomes important with certain things, and I think in the future esports teams will start having more dietitian type people working for them and trying to keep some of these players a little bit healthier.
Right now, I think. Where teams are having dietitians and shit.
Yo, I've been around the League of Legends scene. I've stayed in team houses and hung with those cats. It's all bullshit, man. It's all smoke and mirrors. Yo, let me tell you, they got nutritionists. Fuck that shit. They got fucking drug dealers. I'm being legit now, right?
No, like, you know what? I had a meeting with the team who wanted to sign me maybe like a year ago. And I had a meeting with their, I'm not even going to say what his title was because that might give it away, and pretty much he asked me, he was like, so have you ever tried caffeine pills, and do you know what your limit is? Like, what are like the pills you take, how many you should take a day? And I was like, no, I don't know any of that. I don't really drink a whole lot of caffeine. I'm trying to actually cut it out. And he was like, oh no, I think if you apply it properly, you can really do all this stuff. And I was like, and then he's like, and we also have this other experimental thing that we're trying with some other pills. And I was like, oh, I don't know, man.
Yeah, no, it's legit. People don't realize they're literally popping pills, and those are the legal ones. I mean, like, put it this way. Again, I don't know if it's the same in CS. I actually haven't spent any time in team houses in Counter-Strike in NA, so you guys can tell me. But I actually think team houses are a terrible idea. I think they're a fucking terrible idea. I don't like them. I don't think they're functionally appropriate. I think they're a way for an organization to save money. I don't think they add much to practice. I think they're terrible living conditions generally. I think they're more likely to break a team apart than bring it together. Anyway, all the reasons not to have a team.
I think team houses are better utilized in a short period of time. Like you go there for 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, like a boot camp.
Like,
yeah, exactly.
To me,
exactly.
the way I see team houses is you know, the people are gonna hate this, but a team house is a lot like communism, you know, where it's just like, listen, in theory, in theory, everything would be great here. You know, we all live together, everybody gets along, everybody loves each other, everybody, the practice is better, the environment's better, and we win all this stuff. But in practice, none of those factors never actually works out. And then there's one guy who always sort of, the star player of the team, sort of gets some more control, and then there's manipulating between the players in the house, and there's little friendships and it just ends up being like a whole, it never ends up working out how it's
because
supposed
you
to, and
can't
it's never
be
done
around
fully
people
properly.
you work with that much.
Yeah.
Like, you can't be around them. It just doesn't, it's not good. Long periods of time, at least. Like,
and I've seen this on a few occasions, right? Like in the League of Legends scene, they have you know, they have the kid that could either already has or could potentially get the Adderall prescription, and they know they want the Adderall. The owners and the managers, the coaches, whoever's pulling the string.
Especially those guys, because they make them play for like 12 hours a fucking day.
Right. So they get the guy who either has it or can get it, and they fucking go. And I'm telling you, I've seen. I didn't even know you could dispense this size of pills. I thought it was illegal. Like in the UK, you can't buy fucking like more than 48 fucking paracetamol.
Listen, in the US, you have anti-aging clinics, and certain places you can go and you can get, like, in Canada we don't have those type of things. Like, they don't exist. But in the US, you can almost pay to get what you want from real doctors. Like,
yo, I just ordered 2 liters of fucking scorpion poison. It's a fucking neurotoxin. Like, they just let me have that shit. Like, yep, I'm in Nevada, gotta kill some scorpions. Like, down to the water supply I go, you know what I mean? Like, what, no one gonna stop me buying this much of this shit?
No, they're not. No, they're not.
No one.
They're not gonna stop you at all.
They're crazy, right? Like, just
freedom. It's freedom, Richard. Stop hating on freedom.
No. You know I love freedom, right? I love this place. I don't want to go home. This is great, right? Give me my neurotoxin. I love it. But no, like, for fucking real. So then one kid has the big jar, and then they then say to the other players, hey, you know, long day of scrims today, doing the triple block. You want to pop some pills? And the kids go, all right, yeah, okay, cool. Nom. Hey, big game today. Want to pop some pills? I've seen interviews on the LCS stage with motherfuckers with pupils like fucking saucers licking their fucking face.
I can't even tell you how many times.
You know what I mean?
I can't tell you how many times at events I've been just like some guy on another team even, and I think they think it's like they want to be sick. Like, they come up to you like, hey man, do you need any Adderall? Like, I got some extra. And I'm just like, no. Like, I'm lucky. I feel like I'm lucky because I have family members that work in the field of medicine. So I knew beforehand, like, this stuff is actually really addictive and really bad for you. Like, unless you really need it, like, unless you're somebody who really needs it to function, then it can be beneficial. But if you're not somebody who really needs it, it is really bad for you.
It is pitched like a wonder drug among esports professionals.
Yeah.
And also, I'll say this, right? Like, one of the things that it does, nobody talks about this. I think it's interesting because esports is becoming more sensitive, right? Like, you know, when you always read the story about how women get abused online, probably is true to a greater degree than guys, even though the last Pew.
I don't know. I feel like all of our Twitter mentions might beg to differ with.
Yeah, you know, that's what I mean. But it's pretty fucking close to 50-50, honestly. Yeah. It might be a different kind of abuse, but but for real, it's massively overplayed. But I don't mind it being a topic of discussion because honestly, I think it would be cool if there were more women playing fucking, you know, competitive games and feeling more comfortable and seen. I just don't like anyone to feel uncomfortable. So I'm down. Talk about that.
Shout out to Roku. He's been following me for about 6 years, talking shit to me on Twitter. I'm really impressed by his consistency. Like, anytime I'm down, he's there for me. You know what I mean? Like, he's a solid rock in my life. So
that's what you need, right?
That's what you need.
Yeah, but like, so with the hang on, I'm gonna get back to my train of thought here. With the guys, right? Like, no one ever brings up. Like, and again, you'll know guys about this. Like, Corey, I believe legit that you just decided to get healthy and, you know, start working out, and you made the gym your life, and you changed your diet, and you know what you're talking about, and you looked into it. We all know that there are, like, fat players that just get bullied and abused for being fat all the time, every day. and they do unhealthy shit to lose the weight. And you know, I'm talking like there's some guys who started doing steroids, but one of the most popular things you'll see in all these people that crash, it's the Adderall. It's the Adderall usage, because they're not even taking it to be good at the game.
Yeah,
they're taking it to keep the fucking weight off and burn the fat, right?
Yeah, even going back to when I did, I would redo it differently now if I could go back in time. You know, not that I did it like super unhealthy. I didn't use like stimulants or like besides coffee, obviously, but I definitely like going back. I would have done it slower, and I would have done it.
Yeah.
I would have kept my fat higher in certain things that like I didn't. I just thought, you know, like, you know, I gotta get it off, but like, you know, you should try to do it a little bit slower and healthier if you can. And yeah, taking Adderall or anything to lose weight is a really dumb idea, because it's so easy to do just normally. Like even when I was just at the MDL LAN, I was 268 pounds and I'm 241 this morning. So like, I think that was like May 15th that I started or something. So, you know, if you just get in a rhythm and you know what you're doing, like it will come off. You don't need help from anything, you know. And a lot of people think, you know, there's some secret diet or they need some legal pills or fat burners they get at GNC, but none of that shit is gonna beat just doing some cardio and working out and eating healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
and going back to what you said before too, is that like I think you're right that it's not that like women get more, not necessarily. I mean, we got to be honest here. And I know this is going to be an unpopular opinion. If you are a woman who is, or any man, woman, anybody who is putting yourself out there,
you're gonna get abused.
And who is I can't even use that term because I'll get just fucking roasted. But if you're somebody who is putting yourself out there and you want people to know who you are,
yeah, you want to be a public figure.
You want to be a public figure. You're going to get abuse, no matter what. And like anybody who does that gets abuse. Doesn't matter who you are. Doesn't matter. People will, because people. It's not that people. I mean, I'm sure there's some people who hate you just because you're a woman. I'm sure there's some people who hate me just because they think I'm ugly, or you know whatever, or they hate you because you're bald, or they hate Corey because he's bigger than them, or you know what I mean. Like people are just gonna. There's just mean people out there, right?
Yeah.
But
exactly.
I noticed the one thing is like, especially whenever I play games with my girlfriend, I get way more abuse than she does. But when she gets abuse, it's like it's really fucked up though. Like it's like people because they really go for the
things.
Yeah, exactly. Like I get it probably 10 times, like you know maybe not 10 times, probably 10 times more. But
you're also a pro player.
Exactly.
It's like for the average guy.
But that's what I mean though. That's what I mean is that like if you're somebody who's putting yourself in any sort of public figure position, then people say, oh, well, but you shouldn't have to expect that. Yeah, fucking great. Like, that's not what the world's like. Sorry to fucking break it to you.
Yeah, girls they get attacked just by talking a lot easier than guys, right? Like, they open their mouth, they hear you're a girl, and then if they're 12, they're, like, either coming on to you or, like, trolling you, right? Yeah. Like, there's one of the two options.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah, I think what I'd like to see, though, is I would like to see an article talking about, like, you know, self-image and you know, the sort of pressure of being in a industry where you go from being like, you know, you're in your bedroom 1 minute playing games, eating Cheetos, you know, jerking it to fucking hentai, and then the next minute you're fucking on a stage, 8,000 people, you got a jersey, you have to do a photo shoot every tournament you go to, you're on camera the entire time, you're answering questions. And obviously, if you are overweight, people are going to notice it. Now, listen, you shouldn't be overweight. It's bad for you. I know I should do something about my weight. Maybe I will. Maybe I won't. Whatever. Fuck it. I can acknowledge that I'm overweight. I'm not going to pretend I don't live in a bubble, you know? But when you see these kids, they're kids. And they've got to deal with, you fat piece of shit, you fat piece of shit, you fat piece of shit. Like, some kids do not react well to that, and they go out, and then they fucking start popping pills, taking the old fat burners. What's that one? The other one everyone does called clenbuterol. Clenbuterol. That's it. That's another one.
Don't take that. It's just not.
The amount of times I have talked to people in fucking esports, and they tell me they're cycling some clen right now, and that's why they're a twitchy fucking mess. You know, that's happened a lot. and it's like
He
people
doesn't even do that much. You can go look at the studies. It's not even that. Like, you're not going to lose 50% more fat. It's just hurting yourself for no reason. Like, it pisses me off. People at my gym always they're prepping for a show, and it's like, if you're an advanced level bodybuilder, fucking go ahead, do what you need to do to get to 3% body fat to win money. But just to lose weight, no, it's worthless.
The other thing is when you're a kid too, like let's say you're a 16-year-old kid, 17-year-old kid, and you're well overweight. Let's say you're obese. You know, like you're a little fat fuck, right? Like that. It's not. You were probably a fat fuck when you were 10, and when you were 12, when you were 13, you were 14. That's not your fault. That's all that. Like that is a parenting issue. Sorry to say it, but that is a fucking parenting issue. If you're 12 years old and fat, you're not going out and buying your own food at 12 years old. You know what I mean? You're being fed that, so they don't know any better. And then when they get to the stage, just like you said, people start making fun of them for being fat, and it sucks, and they don't know how to handle it. They've never known anything else.
I just get confused as to why people care if someone's fat playing a video game. Like when I was fat,
people like to be mean.
Yeah, they called me. Well, yeah, sure, but like. The people even that aren't being mean, they're just like, wow, he could stand to lose some weight. It's like, why does that matter to you if he wants to be fat? In my opinion, yeah. Well, not my opinion. Everyone knows you shouldn't. It's not healthy to be fat, right? It's common knowledge. If someone wants to be fat, it's the same thing as smoking or anything else. Like if they like fast food and they want to eat it, it's not good for them. They probably know that. If they're okay with it, then shut up. You know,
it's fucking delicious, though, isn't it? Oh my God.
It's still a personal choice if you want to be fat or not. You know what I mean? Like, it's not healthy. I'm not advocating being fat. I'm just saying, like, people need to just stop giving people shit for it when it's not required in gaming to be fit. It might help your reaction time a bit, but you can go look at strongmen. They're like 450 pounds. They have like giant guts, and guess what? They need them. Like you have to be that heavy to be a competitive strongman. You can't walk around 250 pounds and win. You will never win. It's impossible, literally impossible. You might look at the Polish guy that won a couple years ago, but it was like cardio events back then. The shit wasn't that heavy. But like, people still make fun of them. You know what I mean? Like they're required to be fat, and you'll see people in the comment like he's strong, but he's fat as fuck, and it's like, well, like
yeah, guess what he's in the business of doing? Yeah, he's about strength, you know.
Yeah, he has to be that size, and in gaming,
the mountain from Game of Thrones isn't like, you know, you don't see his abs shining through. He's got a belly.
6'8", 440 pounds. The dude's a monster. Like he's still not that fat for being 440 pounds.
No way. Like.
but you look at these people, and the only reason I even bring it up is just because in gaming, you don't need to be lean to be a good player. Like like how you look. If you were ugly, if you were fat, if you're balding, none of this shit matters. You know, if you're putting up numbers, you're putting up fucking numbers. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're not going to be a pro for your whole life. So like I was saying, it's not a sustainable thing to be fat your whole life. You will die earlier. But, you know, if you're going to play from 20 to 30 and eating pizza and gaming 12 hours a day is keeping you at a super high level and you're making a ton of money, that might be what you need to do, you know? Like,
it's worse when you get older. Like, I'm constantly, like, in my mid-30s, right? I'm constantly compared to people in their early 20s. As if I'm going to be able to just drop that kind of weight like I used to when I was 22, right? Like, it don't work like that no more. And then, like you say, people, you're going bald. Yeah, I'm in my mid-30s. Shit happens, dog. Like, I got the gene, you know? I got the gene in my genetic profile.
Yeah, it's literally mostly genetic when you go bald.
It's what you want me to do, you know?
Like, high DHT levels cause male.
And the funny thing is, I should start making a list. So when these kids that are saying this shit get to like 28, 29, and it's like, oh, wait a minute, my fucking knees sore, my back's sore. Like, well, what's happening? What's happening to my body? I'm going to be there as a fucking 50-year-old guy going like, fucking told you, motherfuckers.
You know what you got to do, Richard? You got to roll up to your next event or just record one video one time with just toupee. Just full head toupee and never address it. Never address it one time. Just record like one full podcast with a toupee, and then the next video it's gone again. Just one time.
I thought about getting plugs at one point, like for real, because I got a bit of money now. I went and had a consultation for a fucking hair transplant, and there was just no way, because, I don't know what I was thinking was going to happen. I thought they just, like, shot the hair into your head with, like, a fucking nail gun or something, so you would just come out, like, you know? But no, you have to fucking walk around were like just scars on your head, and you look like a fucking basketball, basically.
But
like, you got all
can you
these
wear
red...
hats?
Yes,
Nah,
you can,
you're good
but they
then.
prefer if you don't wear them for too long, because it can affect the healing on the scalp. And you have to walk around like when Wayne Rooney did it in the Premier League. He was running around with
I
fucking
remember
dots on
that.
his head. Yeah, he had to tweet out like, "Yeah, guys, I'm going bald in my early 20s, so I've got a hair transplant. You know, make you fun." But like, there was just no way I could have been on camera, you know, for a TV show. Hi, it's Richard Lewis, with just blood and scalp and. You know, but
And you can't wear hats either because you're on
yeah,
TV.
and
Yeah.
exactly. So it would have been sick if there was a way to just turn up one day, like, "Yep, I got hair now, motherfuckers." You know what I mean? But no, you can't do it, dude. But I don't know. Maybe it's something I'll do in future. But
I'm telling you, just
again,
as a joke, just one time, just record one video with a wig or a toupee or something, and just never bring it up ever. Never address it. It'll be like it'll turn into this huge fucking thing, and it'll be great. It'll be hilarious.
like I say, I need to do it in another scene where no one's going to have seen this podcast for maximum comedy value.
No, that's true.
No, I mean, like, I don't know. I guess, like, I just bring this up again.
Not
just
that
'cause,
many
you know,
people will see
like,
this. It's fine. 30,000 or so.
Just because I know there's definitely a lot of like insecure people that play games, right? Like, gaming drives a pretty large percentage of like antisocial, insecure people. I think that's fair to say, right? You know, it's an easy outlet to go to. And a lot of people probably have body dysmorphia and stuff like that. And it's just like a lot of it is like mental, of like just not letting things affect you. But you know, you can also change how you are. Like, even when I was on C9, I lost like all this weight. I was 6'3", 165 pounds. I was a skeleton, right? Like, I literally thought I was still fat at that point. Like,
Wow.
You know, in my head, you see pictures and I'm like, man, I was so skinny. But at the time, I lost weight so fast and so like quickly that I was like, you still didn't feel like you were skinny, if that makes sense. Like, you know, you're not fat. You know, you're not fat. You know, you're not like 300 pounds anymore. But like, just part of you still feels, you know, like a little bit like you could be better, if that makes sense. So it kind of fucks with you. Now I'm like over that. I mean, over time, you know, just like it doesn't bother me nearly as much. And that was more me bothering myself than other people.
Yeah,
like,
it gets in your head, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think like it is a bad thing for players, you know, like even just Twitter hate in general gets to people, and it's like everyone's affected differently, like you said, right? Like, not some people are like bulletproof, right? Like nothing affects them, and then some people like I'm not going to name names, but I've had teammates that like visibly would get upset after a loss if they read like negative comments, right? And like a lot of them just shouldn't read comments in general, I think, if they affect you that much, but people just also need to just not be such fucking dicks. Like,
no, it is wild. I mean, the worst period I remember was when sort of skins gambling was in its heyday, and you know, again, I'd be at events with pros that lost the game, and we'd be, you know, drinking a beer and just hanging out at a bar, and they'd be like scrolling on their phone, and they'd be like, "Look at this shit." And you would just like look, and it would just be like, "Kill yourself. I lost a fucking, you know, Asimov because of you. Fucking throwing games. Show me your bet slip. I hope you fucking die in a car crash." Like, it was, you know,
dude,
it wasn't
paragraphs. They'll send you paragraphs.
One time a
Yeah,
guy tweeted
yeah.
at me saying that he can't afford to pay his grandma's bills because I threw a game that he needed to win the bet on in order to pay his grandma's medical bills. I was like, man, there's a whole lot going on there that has nothing to do with
I used
me.
to tell people the silver lining of losing was that they lost money, and that didn't make them very happy. But it's like, if you're gonna come like at me and talk shit, it's like, I don't know.
I mean, like, you know, there was some people like, you know, and again, I'll admit this isn't exactly popular. People don't like it, but there'd be some people that would like send me like death threats or, you know, whatever the fuck it was, or like some pretty vile shit. Like I said, there was one, this is a while back, like someone was threatening, like saying they were going to come to my house and rape my girlfriend. That was one.
Classic.
Yeah, the old classic.
Yeah.
Throwback. So it's like, what? I'm not the guy you do this to, man. I find people for a living. I work with private detectives. Like, yeah. So guess what comes next? Like, so, and then you just reply to them on their, like, not the email they sent the email from, right? You feel me?
Yeah.
And you just be like, yeah, you probably might want to stop doing this roundabout now. Next time I get a message from y'all, you work here, don't you? Yeah. And you would just, the reply you get back is like, that's the, oh yeah,
just
come
the
on,
best feeling.
Bitch, yeah. That's better than fucking sex. That's fucking amazing. That's like fucking the release, because like, oh, please, no.
To just visually see the panic in the text, like just...
Yeah. I've been studying to be like a nurse my entire life, and now you're gonna ruin it all. Please, no, like no. And I'll be like, okay, well, don't threaten to go around fucking raping people, you fucking piece of shit, And it's like that was always the juice for me. Unfortunately, with pro players, there's not really a lot you can do and say. So like, yeah, I think Corey's got the right fucking idea. Like I would just rub that like a puppy that shit in the fucking carpet. You just don't do that again, right? Because it's ridiculous. Like the gambling thing. This is one of the reasons why I like gambling in esports. But the skins betting was basically a backdoor for kids to kind of get into it. And you've got like, you don't see mature guys who go out and drop $50 on like on a sports game. Like tweeting at the fucking Raiders, you cost me $50. They're angry that they lost the game. They're angry if a player played bad and didn't catch the ball because they just love the team. I've never seen abuse like that in real sports. It's like
the other thing is too is
$10 of skins.
Some of the people who are making the
dude.
money. Yeah, true.
They
but
go
some
fight
of the
the
people
other
who were even making the money off of it, like I know some of the founders of CSGO Lounge weren't exactly of age at the time either. There's some current people that are still in the scene that are barely of age now that were some of the founders of CSGO Lounge. So, and they were not of age at the time, definitely to be running a gambling website, let alone gambling themselves. So yeah, no, this skins gambling was definitely not a good thing for people.
So I know it was a while ago. I just want to go back to something. And it was like 40 minutes ago or something. So, when we were talking about the aim lock stuff, because I just want to be clear about this. I also always have entertained the possibility that the way the algorithm is rendered in CSGO is different to other versions of Counter-Strike, and therefore when you see like the locks, it could just be something to do with how the demo or the game is rendered when you watch it through GoTV.
I've thought about that,
right?
But then I figured like the Valve devs should just come and say something. Like they should just be like, "Hey, this used to make it more likely that the game didn't know where your crosshair was, so it would just like put it onto a person." But they never say anything. So
not only that, Richard, I've considered that too. I try to look at all the different things that it could be, and my argument to that, which is when I had this argument in my head at the time, my argument to that was then that would happen to everyone, and it doesn't. That was my argument to that is, well, look, it's just because if I was playing devil's advocate for myself, it's like if this is a thing where this is just how the game renders, this is just that the demo is in lower tick and that's why this happens, then why did it just happen to specific people many times and not other people? You know what I mean?
True.
That's the counter to that theory.
So the counter to the counter would be, well, what if it was a setting or a sensitivity or something those guys used in the game, and it only did it to those people because they had unwittingly used this particular setting. And that's why it only targets these certain players. Maybe it's a type of mouse input. Who fucking knows what it could be?
Right.
But maybe that's why, right? So I've always tried to keep like an open mind about why it could be happening. Because I'll say this: I remember aimbots in Counter-Strike Source 1.6. They didn't look like that when you used to watch them. You didn't get like the sort of snappy kind of aim locks. It was either really, really obvious, or you had it offset so subtly that it would get you most of the way, and then you had to do the rest. And that's kind of how aimbots used to look back then. But yeah, they didn't look like these aim locks that you saw. So I always thought maybe it was something in the game, and then as Valve moved forward, the reason we don't see it now is that like maybe it got patched out. Maybe it was part of like some of the improvements in general housekeeping.
That could be it. That could be it. I don't think that's necessarily the most likely theory, but there definitely is. Yeah, that definitely could be the case. But look, I think we got to wrap this up.
Oh, we got to wrap.
I think so. I think it is time. It's been almost 2 hours.
I just want Corey's opinion, then I'm happy.
Go for it.
Because he's actually a VaxSucks
mod. He's a mod, yeah.
Moderator.
Yeah, he's a
mod.
Oh,
you are actually a mod.
Oh, yeah. He's a mod on VaxSucks. Of course he's not actually a fucking mod.
I own it.
I thought you were joking.
I was joking.
All right, good. That's good. Yeah, so I just wanted your opinion on could it be something like that?
Well, I was thinking it's not impossible if they did like something with the demo UI, like when you play like a demo. But in terms of like settings, like Flush uses raw input, Shoxy doesn't use raw input. Like some of them use stretch res, some of them don't. Like it could be some sort of setting, but I don't know what the fuck it would be. You know what I mean? Like
yeah, I think you're really grasping at that one. If that's the
like if it's a player's personal settings, I don't know what it could be, but I do think an update in the game could have changed something in the way that demos are rendered, or how the crosshair that a player is moving is accurately displayed. Why wouldn't they tell you that they've updated something like that? Is beyond me, but it's Valve.
They don't tell people anything because they've realized that telling people shit is usually not the way to go. Actually,
like when I was originally thinking about it, it's like when you originally see the aim locks, they all could have been caused, or theoretically, by the demo UI just not being that accurate. You know what I mean? Like when you're reviewing a demo, it might not know that it hit someone direct. Like it might be 30% off, and it just kind of goes to the model because it's like whatever. We don't know where he really aimed because the tick is low or something. But like, I don't know. I feel like that'd be fairly easy for like someone that actually created the fucking game to come out and be like, well, like it's possible, but they never say anything, so you can only guess, I guess.
All right, there you go. I can die happy now, David.
All right. Well, Richard, thank you so much for coming on. We appreciate it for this relaunch episode. Hopefully, you come back on again in the future, however many months down the line when we are looking for more guests. And I'll definitely keep you in mind because
anytime you can't get anyone good, just hit me up, buddy.
Hey, that's not how you were the first person I asked.
Let's get a cheat creator on here with Richard Lewis.
Yeah, yo, you don't want to hear that. No. I know a few. They got some wild theories. I don't think it would help anybody. So.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thanks everybody for watching. Richard, thanks for being here. This has been Peaker's Advantage episode 8, and hopefully see you guys again soon.